Welcome back to Boxwood Avenue. Today I'm going to share a fun Valentine's Day activity that you can do with the kiddos. These are easy sugar cookies and we're going to package them up in the cutest way, so let's get started. If this is your first time here, my name is Chloe. I write a blog called Boxwood Avenue where I share everyday tips for wholesome living, easy recipes, interior design, and a little bit of ranch life in between. I was putting together a blog post about heart-shaped Valentine's Day bakeware. Everything was just so cute and I fell in love with these little heart-shaped cookie cutters. So I got inspired to make some sugar cookies this Valentine's Day, but not just any sugar cookies. I wanted to make them a little bit extra special. So we're going to layer the sugar cookies and put a little hole and tie them together with a ribbon to make them little Valentine's Day grams. We're going to start with just a basic sugar cookie recipe. We've got flour, butter, sugar, eggs, and vanilla extract. Whip that up and then we'll make some royal icing and then we'll decorate them. So we're going to start with 3/4 cups of butter. And a cup of sugar. We'll add an egg. And a splash of vanilla, about a teaspoon of vanilla. I'm going to cream this together and then I'll add my flour and baking powder. Sift in my flour. This is an optional step, but I really think that sifting it makes a nice difference in just texture when you're baking. So I've got 2½ cups. So a 1/4 teaspoon of salt. I use salted butter too. So I'm going to blend this up. Here's the dough after I've mixed it, and I'm just going to go in and bring it together with my hands and make it into one large clump. It shouldn't stick to your hands, and if it's sticking to your hands, you may want to add a little bit more flour, but this is the perfect consistency right there. Be careful not to overwork your dough. So here's our perfect sugar cookie dough. This looks great. So I've got parchment paper here that I've laid down, and I'm going to roll this dough out. I'm going to lightly flour my surface so that it doesn't get sticky onto my parchment paper and my rolling pin. You want to roll these cookies out fairly thick, probably like, I'll go 1/2 inch, maybe a little bit less than 1/2 inch. I've got my cookie dough all rolled out. It's about a 1/4 inch thick. You could go a little bit thicker with these cookies. They're going to hold their shape a little bit better if you go thicker. And now I'm just going to get started. So I've got 2 different heart-shaped cookies here, and I've got, this one's 2 sizes smaller than the big one. Just going to start out. We preheated our oven to 350 degrees, and I'm going to pop these little hearts in the oven. They're turning out so cute. But before I do that, I'm going to poke a little hole in the top corner so that I can layer my hearts together and tie them with ribbon. If you don't want to do this, you don't have to. I just think this is really cute. So I've got a straw, just a paper straw. You could use a toothpick or something else too to make the little holes. And I'm going to make little holes in each one. So we just pulled our sugar cookies out of the oven and they are too cute for words. Look at how darling they are. For my frosting, I want it to harden up because I'm going to layer these. I don't want to use a buttercream or something that's going to be sticky. So I'm going to use just a basic royal icing recipe. I've got this Cooking at Home cookbook from Williams-Sonoma. It's one of my favorite cookbooks. There are so many wonderful recipes in it. They've got a basic decorating icing recipe that we're going to use. It's very simple and just requires 2 ingredients. All we need is a little powdered sugar and some milk. I'm also going to add some food coloring and just a little bit of corn syrup to have a nice shine, but you can skip that, it's not necessary. I want to make 2 different colors, so I'm going to divide the recipe in half. I've got 2 bowls here. I put a 1/2 cup of powdered sugar in each bowl. I'm going to add a little splash of vanilla in each. Next, we're going to add milk into this mixture. Add your milk very gradually. Go 1 teaspoon at a time. You're probably only going to need 4 to 5 teaspoons of milk, but stop after 3 and check your consistency. Add 2 teaspoons into each bowl, since I've divided this in half, and give it a stir and then check and see what it's looking like. Now I want to dye my frosting. I want one to be a little bit more pink and one to be a little bit more red, so I'm going to add 1 drop of red food coloring into 1 bowl, and then I'll add a couple drops into So now that we've made our royal icing, we can start piping. I've got this in my Ziploc bag and I'm going to cut a really tiny hole in the tip. It's always easier to cut a bigger hole than to make it smaller. We just finished piping our cookies and they turned out so cute. Our Ziploc bag works really well. Just make sure that you cut the hole very small. You can always make it bigger if you need to, but the icing will come out very quickly, and so if your hole's too big, it's gonna be a mess. So now I've got some ribbon that I'm going to use to tie my cookies together. You want to make sure that the icing has completely hardened before you try and tie them together because you don't want them to stick together. You could pop them in the fridge or the freezer for a couple minutes. So I've got one of my cookies done. It's too cute for words. I always love finding ways to change something a little bit, make something a little bit more special or unique, and I think these cookies are just the thing. I had so much fun making these Valentine's Day sugar cookies with you guys today. I hope that you have fun making them with your families too. If this is your first time here, make sure you subscribe before you go, and to see more of my recipes and see all of my tutorials, you can visit my blog, boxwoodAvenue.com.